We continue now at the top of Daf Pei Aleph Amud Beis in Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 81b. The Gemara here is in the middle of a question that Rabbi Bar Rav Shila asks Rav Chisda. Mahu la'alosam acharav lagag. What's the halacha to take these stones to the roof? Rashi here explains, Mahu la'alosam acharav lagag. Im olasham lifnos, let's say a person goes up to the roof to go to the bathroom. Michayshinan l'tircha yeserta olo. He's now carrying these stones that he's going to use to wipe in the bathroom, and he's carrying them up to the roof. Is that considered tircha yeser? That's how Rashi understands the question. Amar Leiser of Chisda responded, Gadol kavod abrius shedoches los aseh shebetorah. Kavod abrius is so strong that it's even docha los aseh in the Torah. Rashi says, shedoches los aseh dechsiv yesalamta mehem prat lezaken venu lefi chavodo. We learn out that a person's supposed to return a lost object, but if the item is something like the person is an old person and it's not kavodik for him to return that item, he doesn't have to. So that's in the Torah. V'hachanami tilta d'Rabbanan. Here also tilta is only d'Rabbanan. Alav de lo saser as mechur Rabbanan, and they're so mechin on the lav of lo saser. Uv'makom kavod abrius nircha. In situations of kavod abrius, we can be docha this lo saseh or this d'Rabbanan, however you want to say, this lo saseh of lo saser or this d'Rabbanan of muksa, of tiltal, but whatever the case is, the point is, he said it's mutter because of kavod abrius, you can carry the stones up to the roof. So Yosef Mereimar v'kamar lo lahashmaita. Mereimar was saying the sugi over. Eisvei Ravina leMereimar, and Ravina asked Mereimar the following question. Rabbi Eliezer says, no taladam kisa mishalafan of lachtzos boshinav. According to Rabbi Eliezer, a person can take a wood chip in order to use to clean out his teeth, like a splinter. The Chachamim say lo yito lelamino avos shel behema. You can only take it from the feeding trough of an animal. Those were prepared for the animal, but otherwise you can't do it. Otherwise it's a problem of muksa. So Rashi over here says, min ha'avos shehu muchan. There it's muchan. Al mahamidu divreim b'makom kavod abrius. You see that even b'makom kavod abrius, the Rabbanan said you have a problem of muksa. Shepa'amim shenira mibachutz u'gnayulo. There's certainly the having meat in the middle of your teeth is certainly going to be an issue of kavod abrius. It could be a gnai, and still the Chachamim said you can't take unless it's muchan. So you see, kavod abrius is not doche. So the Gemara answers, hachi ashta. Hasam adam kovei makom l'seuda. Over there, when a person's eating, they can prepare ahead of time where they're going to eat. They can prepare what they need for the meal ahead of time. When it comes to the bathroom, a person can't know 100%. Therefore, the Chachamim were more lenient when it came to kavod habrius. Rashi says, he should have prepared yesterday. Maybe someone else is using that area for the bathroom. You need to go somewhere else. And Rashi says in those times they didn't have Beis HaKisei in their house. In their houses, because they used to live not only in the lower floor, they would live in the upper floor as well, because there wasn't a lot of space to live. Therefore, they didn't have room to put a bathroom in the house. So in any case, the Gemara here is making a distinction between Beis HaKisei, kavod abrius for Beis HaKisei, and kavod abrius for Seuda. Gemara continues, Amar Rav Huna says, Aser lifnos besada near b'Shabbos. A person's not allowed to go to the bathroom in a plowed field on Shabbos. Rashi says, what do you mean a plowed field? Besada near charisha rishon. It's the first plowing, the omed l'zriya. You're awaiting planting things. So you're going to put the seeds in. It's ready to put the seeds in. You're not allowed to use that to go to the bathroom on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, my time, what's the reason? If it's because you're going to essentially harden the earth over there, it's going to ruin the field for the person. Then even on weekdays you shouldn't do it. What's the idea of Shabbos? So rather it could be because of the fact that you plowed the area, it's moist, and grass grows on the stone that you're using. So if you're using such a stone, the grass is going to be uprooted. It's going to be a tolesh on Shabbos. But Reish Lakish says, if a person has a stone or a pebble that has grass on it, mutter lekanech, but you're allowed to wipe with such a stone. And the reason why is because you're not miskavin. We hold like Rabbi Shimon, the davar shein miskavin is mutter. But if you do uproot grass on purpose, not davar shein miskavin, but you do it with kavana, then you would in fact be chayiv a chatos. So the point is, in any case, that's not a reason to not use this field on Shabbos, because it's not a problem. It's davar shein miskavin if you're going to uproot the grass. So rather, the Gemara says the reason why you shouldn't go to the bathroom on Shabbos in this area is maybe what's going to happen is you're going to take some earth that was in a mound of earth, and you're going to put it in an area which there was a pit. And you're going to be chayiv because of what Rabba said. Because Rabba said if a person has a pit or a hole in the ground and he fills it up, is chayiv mishum bona. If you do that in a house, they used to have earth floors. If you do it in a house, it's like building. You're building your house, the floor of the house. Besad chayiv mishum choresh. And if a person does it in a field, it's like plowing the field. So the same thing over here. We're afraid essentially you're going to smooth out the earth, and if you smooth out the earth, that's going to be a problem of choresh. So the Gemara continues. Gufa, we said, Amar Reish Lakish, that Reish Lakish said, Tzror she'alu bo asavim, mutar lekaneach bo. That if you have a tzror, if you have a pebble that has grass on it, you're allowed to wipe with it. We're not afraid that you're going to be tolish because it's davar shemiskavin. V'atolish b'mena b'Shabbos chayiv chatos. But if you're tolish on Shabbos on purpose with kavana, then you're chayiv, or not on purpose, but if you do it with kavana, but you do it by mistake, you're chayiv chatos. Of course, you do it on purpose, you're chayiv skila. So Amar Rav Papi says, Shma minam Reish Lakish. We understand from Reish Lakish, Hai Parfisa Shari L'Tiltula, that you're also allowed to move around the Parfisa on Shabbos. That's also not going to be a problem of Tolesh. Rashi explains what Parfisa is, two pshatim. So first Rashi says, Hai Parfisa Otzitz Nokov Shazarobo. We're talking about a plant that's in a pot, has a hole on the bottom. So the idea is, even though you're picking up the pot, it's not considered Tolesh. Uvitshuvas hagaonim matzasi, says I found another pshat in the Tshuvas hagaonim, show osin chosalos mikapos tamarim, umemalim osam afor v'zevel behema v'chof bezo tesvav yom l'fnei Rosh Hashanah, osim kol echad v'echad l'shem kol katan u'katana shebebayis v'zorin l'sochan pula mitzri okitnius. They would plant these items on behalf of their children before Rosh Hashanah. V'koran lo porfisa, essentially be a plant, they would call it a porfisa, v'tzomeach, and it would blossom. Uve'erev Rosh Hashanah notal kol echad shalom achziro svivas rosho. On Erev Rosh Hashanah, they would take this plant, they would put it around their heads, shiva pamim 7 times. V'yomer, they would say zet hachazeh, v'zeh chalifasi, v'zeh tmurasi, u'mashlichu l'nar. This is like what we do going into Yom Kippur. We do kaparis. So it's the same idea over here. They used to do this on Erev Rosh Hashanah with these pots. So the point is, he's saying you're allowed to move it around on Shabbos. Rashi says here, shari l'tiltulei, v'lo amrin tolishu. If you move the pot from one place to another, we don't say that since it's getting sustenance from the ground, that therefore if I move it away from the ground, I'm being tolish it. Essentially, the idea is that when you have like a pot with a hole in the bottom, we say that the nutrients from the earth are actually going up through the air into the pot. And if you were to move the pot, maybe that should be considered tolish. So Reish Lakish is saying, look, the fact that, or Rav Papi is saying from Reish Lakish, the fact that Reish Lakish says you can take a rock that has grass on it and move it away from the earth. So we're not afraid that it used to be getting nutrients from the earth and now those nutrients are being cut off. Similarly, we would not be afraid of that when it comes to a plant. So the response, Maskiv Rav Kahana, so Rav Kahana asks Rav Papi, he says, what are you talking about? Imamru l'tzorech, yomer shelo l'tzorech. When we allowed it by the rock, that was l'tzorech. There was an issue of kavod habrios over there, so we allow it. But it could very well be that when it comes to a plant, you're not allowed to move it. If there's a hole in the bottom of the pot, you wouldn't be allowed to move it because that would be maybe asur midrabanan. You don't have a tzorech. There's no reason to allow it. Gemara says, Amar Abai, it says, Parfisa, hoel v'asal liyad, and this Parfisa, this plant, since we're talking about it, lema b'mil, so let's say something by it. Hayamunach agabe karka v'nich agabe yasedos mechayim misham tolish. If this plant is on the earth and then you move it away from the earth on top of some pegs, you're going to be chayav because you're uprooting it from its sustenance. Hayamunach agabe yasedos, and if it's the other way around, it was on yasedos, v'nich agabe karka, and you move it to the karka, chayim misham noteh, you're actually planting it, you're giving it sustenance from the earth. Rashi points out that the word chayiv doesn't really mean chayiv. It's not actually an Isser Doraisa, because if it was an Isser Doraisa, you wouldn't be allowed to they wouldn't allow it for kavod habrios in the case of the rock when a person's going to the bathroom. Rather, chayiv can sometimes be used in a language of D'Rabbanan. Rashi over here says, he says, V'li nira, to me it appears, the chayiv lav dafka, ela osir, misham the domi l'tolish, it's similar to tolish. The chayiv mamish kamar, because if it was mamish chayiv, l'tzorech hechishari Rabbanan, Isser karis u'skila, misham kinuach, you think the Rabbanan would allow an Isser karis and a skila because of kinuach in order for kavod habrios for the bathroom, they wouldn't allow such a thing. So the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, asur l'kaneach b'cheres b'Shabbos. A person's not allowed to wipe with cheres, with clay, on Shabbos. Gemara wants to know why. My time, what's the reason? If you're going to say because it's dangerous, maybe it damages the person, afilu b'chol nami, even weekdays you shouldn't do it. Maybe it has to do with witchcraft. The Gemara will explain the witchcraft in a story that's going to go on to the next Amud. But maybe the issue is an issue of witchcraft. Afilu b'chol nami lo. Again, even on weekdays you shouldn't do that. So maybe it's because when you use the clay, it's sharp and it removes hairs, and it's an issue of removing the hairs on Shabbos. So for that, the Gemara says, Davar Shem Eskavinu. That's a Davar Shem Eskavin. Why should that be a problem? The Gemara is about to say that Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Shimon, the Davar Shem Eskavin is mutter. So Amar Lahu, Rav Nasan Bar Oshia, so Rav Nasan Bar Oshia said back to him, Gavra Rabba, he said back to them, Gavra Rabba Amar Milsa Nema Bataima. A great person like Rabbi Yochanan said this idea that you're not allowed to be mekanech with cheres on Shabbos. We need to give a good reason for it. So what he meant was as follows: Lo mi boy b'chol diaser, for sure on a weekday you shouldn't use cheres, either because of kshafim, because of sakana, whatever it is. Avol b'Shabbos ho'al v'katoras kli olav shaper dami. But maybe you think on the contrary. Maybe on Shabbos we wouldn't worry about sakana and kshafim because here it has a Torah's kli. It's better than using a stone which is muksa. If you have a situation where there's a stone that's muksa versus the kli which is not muksa, maybe on Shabbos we shouldn't worry about the sakana or the kshafim. So kamash malan, that's why Rabbi Yochanan was teaching us, no, even on Shabbos we have this prohibition. It's better to use a stone than to use this cheres. So Rava Masni lo misham asharas nimin. Now Rava held that what Rabbi Yochanan meant was that you're going to remove the hairs. V'kashalei Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan. He said that it was actually a contradiction between Rabbi Yochanan. In other words, he understood that the reason was because of davar shein miskaven. You're going to remove the hairs on Shabbos, and it's a problem of chil Shabbos. But he had a kasha from another statement of Rabbi Yochanan. Mi Omer Rabbi Yochanan asur lekanech becheres b'Shabbos alma davar shein miskaven asur. Does Rabbi Yochanan really say it's asur to be mekanech with clay on Shabbos because davar shein miskaven is asur? V'yamar Rabbi Yochanan, but Rabbi Yochanan also said halacha kestam mishnah, that the halacha is like a stam mishnah. Utznan, we have a stam mishnah which says nazir chofef u'mefasves avalo sorek. The nazir can do some things with his hair. A nazir, of course, not to cut his hair, so he can separate his hair, he can rub his hair, but lo sorek, he can't comb his hair because then it's a davar shein miskaven, but it's a psik ratio. You're for sure going to remove hair. Even Rabbi Shimon agrees that when it's a davar shein miskaven, that's for sure going to happen. It's problematic. But in any case, what do you see from here? You see that in general, a nazir is allowed to rub his hair, and it's a davar shein miskaven. It's not a problem. So does Rabbi Yochanan hold davar shein miskaven is asur? Does he hold it's mutter? So elam achvarta kid Rav Nasan bar Oshia. So the Gemara says you're right. Really, this second approach of Rava is incorrect, and the correct approach is like Rav Nasan bar Oshia, that of course it's asur to use clay on weekdays, either because of sakana or kshafim. And the chiddush of Rabbi Yochanan was that maybe on Shabbos you would have said it's okay because it's a kli, it's better than a stone. So we say no, even on Shabbos it's a problem. So Gemara says, "My kshafim, what does it mean witchcraft? What's the witchcraft involved with using clay?" So Kihadar of Chisda v'Rabba bar Rav Huna. There was a story of Rav Chisda and Rabba bar Rav Huna. Havaka Azli ba'arba. They were going in a ship. Amra lahu hahu matronisa. A certain woman said to them, "Osvan badaychu, let me sit with you." They didn't let her sit next to them. So Amra ihi milsa. So she did some witchcraft, some sorcery. Asarta la'arba, and it stopped the ship from traveling. Amru inu milsa, so they did a little bit of their own, a little sorcery of their own, sharyu, and they were able to get the ship moving again. Rashi over here explains how could they do sorcery. Rashi says, Amra milsa d'chshafim v'asarta la'arba v'lo zazam imekoma. She did witchcraft, and she was able to stop it from moving. Amri inu milsa al yedei shem tahara. They used the pure name of God, so it wasn't also what they did, but in any case, they got the ship moving again. Amra lahu, so she said to them, what can I do for you? And of course, the story will continue with a reference to this idea of cheres, and we'll continue with that in the next video on Daf Pei Beis Amud Aleph.